the most anticipated royal reunion in decades. And it turns out they were here a lot longer than we thought.
Not a lot of people know this, but Harry and Meghan were in the country until Tuesday evening.
How did they manage to dodge the cameras?
Normally, reporters will have a sniff of where they are staying. Not a single shot. I think it's pretty remarkable that they managed to do that.
And for nobody to have captured them. Neither side wants to rock the boat here, and they need to keep this private, and that comes down to trust between both sides.
Did William keep himself busy to swerve any awkward encounters?
William and Kate had a very busy diary, and therefore there was no time to pop up to Highgrove on Friday.
There was no chance that anybody could cross some paths. Hello, welcome to another episode of Talking Royals. Lizzie and Chris are back in the studio after spending last week with Prince Harry, tailing him around the country.
Yeah.
Lizzie, the King got a very special visit last Friday, didn't he?
He did. After I think what we could summarise as a difficult week for Prince Harry, he did get his longed-for meeting with his father. And that was longed for not just to see his father, but he really wanted to take his children to meet their grandfather. They hadn't seen him since 2022 when they were in the UK for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. But overall, it was a difficult week for Harry. We had the security and him not getting the full automatic protection that he so desperately wants. Then the drama over was he or was he not going to stay at Buckingham Palace. Then he lost the court case against Associated Newspapers. And at one stage it was looking like, is this meeting ever going to happen? And on Friday we got the confirmation that they did see not just the King, but also Queen Camilla at Highgrove House.
Now what I find absolutely astonishing is last week he was probably one of the most talked about people in the country.
Yeah.
And he was tailed by paparazzi, our camera and then not our camera, but also other cameras. And yet, not a single person saw the family enter Highgrove. Nobody saw them leave Highgrove. And nobody saw where they went next, because actually they didn't leave the country till Tuesday.
This is true. You raise a very valid point. So not a lot of people know this, but Harry and Meghan were in the country until Tuesday evening. So when you think the Invictus Games event was Friday, Saturday he did the Scottish Little Soldiers, and we've got some wonderful pictures to show you shortly of Harry and some goats. And then that left Sunday and Monday and Tuesday when all four of them were in the country, staying with friends.
They arrived on Thursday evening, didn't they?
Arrived Thursday evening, and then that meant nobody, often it's not necessarily the TV cameras that catch them, it's the newspapers who've probably paid for hundreds of cameras, or those who are freelance and know how much money they can make out of a picture.
Or a member of the public going, oh, is that Snap?
And
nothing.
Not a single shot
That's
of Meghan or the children.
astonishing.
I think so, yeah.
How did they get away with it then? Because obviously the whole conversation regarding security was Harry saying, it's not safe for my wife and my children to be here. He's managed to get around that by basically doing no public engagements whatsoever with them, but also keeping so under the radar that not only did no member of the public know that he was here, that they were here, the whole family, for so many days, but also the press had no idea either. That is quite something.
Yeah. And, Meghan had originally been due to join him in Birmingham on Friday at that 1 year to go until Birmingham Invictus 2027. As we spoke about on the podcast last week, it was decided that she would no longer take part in any public engagements. But you're right, that is a long time for Meghan, Harry, Archie and Lilibet to be in the country and for nobody to have seen them or captured them.
I'm really happy for them.
Normally, particularly newspaper reporters will have a sniff of where they are staying or where they might be staying. And they stayed we think one of the nights they stayed in Althorpe, the estate, which is home to Charles Spencer, Harry's uncle. But the rest of the time, they stayed elsewhere. And nobody knows where, with friends.
But no, not at...
You did say last week he could stay in your room, didn't he?
I know, and I would like to exclusively confirm the family were not in my spare room.
They were. Okay, well, that's good that we've ruled that out.
Right, so we know where they were.
Because we weren't sure coming into this.
So that's
good to clear
I know you were wondering.
We were.
But no, they did not have like a full duration.
Or is this just a decoy and they were there and you're now telling us they weren't?
So. But that's true. I may not actually tell you if they were. You make
No, I think it's pretty remarkable that they managed to do that. But actually... good for them. I mean, on a human level, I think most people will think, wasn't that good that father got to see his son, that grandfather got to see his grandchildren, and after everything that Harry said about his stepmother, Queen Camilla, in those interviews around his book Spare. Pretty remarkable that she was in the room as well at the same time. I was told the meeting was, let's say, somewhere between an hour and 2 hours, which is longer than when Harry came over to see his dad last autumn. So you've got to think, I don't mean, who knows what they discussed and who knows what the atmosphere was like, but you've got to think at least it happened.
Well, yeah, it happened. And as you say, a grandfather got to see two of his grandkids that he's not seen for a really long time. And that in itself would be a blissful 2 hours of catching up with what they like doing, what they've been up to, how school's going, all of that.
And there's the icebreaker, because whatever tension there might be in the room between Harry and Camilla or Meghan and the King or anything else, you've got two little kids that you can talk about. And
who can run around that massive house.
Yeah.
Like even that alone, running around in the garden or what have you, it's just a really lovely thing.
They live in quite a big house in Montecito. They probably
I know.
Grandad, your house is really small.
No, but also all those houses are modern. When you go to somewhere like Highgrove, it's full of so much rich history, and I think that's such a wonderful thing for them to see what they are a part of, which I think is beautiful. I'm really happy for them. They're able to sort of pull this off. Spend time with friends, spend time with family without so much of the outside noise, which would have happened had Meghan actually gone to Birmingham and been at the celebration.
Yeah, do you know, I think one of the reasons was partly security, because if you've got every principal, I hear, you need two eyes on them. So like two close protection officers. So if you have Harry and Meghan, you need 4 eyes on them. But that also means that the children are going to be somewhere else. We don't know where, and they will need some kind of close protection. Now, if you're paying for all that yourself, and I'm not saying Harry and Meghan are short of money, but they don't have an endless pit of it. That's a lot of them, and that's tens of thousands of pounds you've just totted up there between 4, highly qualified close protection officers. They're not people you just get off the agency. These are people, for example, who have looked after presidents and prime ministers previously. So
and actually,
they're not cheap.
If Meghan had come to the event on Friday, if that had been her first public appearance here after all the drama of last week, I think the attention would have been so fully on Harry and Meghan that it would have really distracted and taken away from the event itself and that amazing community, which is actually what that was all about. And I think they probably partly recognised that actually they needed to retain the focus on that event.
I'm not saying this is the case, but it was suggested to me that given the week that Harry had security, Buckingham Palace, losing the court case in that very emphatic way that he did, was Meghan's PR mind saying, I don't necessarily want to be associated with Harry's week in the UK, so I'm just going to stay completely out of the picture.
Or just making it just made good sense.
Or just, be there for the kids.
Yeah, and just hang out with your mates in a really lovely way. We don't have to worry, am I going to walk out of my friend's house to like a whole barrage of paparazzi and cameras and
you can hang out in your joggers, you can put your hair in a pineapple, and you can just...
Well, yeah, she can keep a headscarf on, all of that stuff. I think it's good for them. But Jim, do you know who wasn't there at Highgrove and who we don't think he saw over those past few days? Who could I be talking about?
Yeah, I can say fairly conclusively he did not see or have any contact with his brother, Prince William,
who were very busy last week.
Who were very busy. We will come to that. But the relationship between father and son, that has improved dramatically over the last few years.
Yeah, but surely father must have at least sent a text message and go, hi, eldest, heads up, your siblings popping round for tea, full stop.
With your sister-in-law?
Yeah.
What?
He must have done.
Yeah,
I know social media.
Do you think he did that in a way of like, text, do you want to pop in as well?
Yeah.
Or did he just
question mark, love emoji?
Yeah.
Praying hands?
Yeah. Come for a big reunion.
I think one of the really important things about this meeting, though, is that we know it's happened. We had that confirmed to us on Friday.
Yeah.
But we know very few other details. And that is significant. neither side wants to rock the boat here. And they need to keep this private. That is really important. And that comes down to trust between both sides. And, there's been so much said publicly and so much of this played out in public that it is really important for the future relationship that this remains a private family occasion, I think.
Until someone writes a book.
Until someone writes a book and does all the work again.
When people say to you, if you want to come back as an animal, what animal would you be? On that particular day, I would come back as a fly in Gloucestershire, and I would find my way into that room and just sit in the little corner.
So then come back and spill the tea. But yeah, we allude to the fact that actually William and Kate had a really busy week last week.
They did.
So whilst all that drama was happening...
coincidentally, it was the same week that Harry was here.
Same week that Harry... I mean, we don't like conspiracy theories. That's not what we do on this show.
We are just pointing out a fact. Harry was in town. William and Kate had a really busy week. They are both factual comments.
So, in fact, William took part in a Royal Charity Polo Cup in Berkshire. Kate was cheering him on. Kate was at Evelina Hospital on Monday. Tuesday, William played bowls with school children. On Thursday, William visited Hastings, speaking to fishermen about climate change and playing crazy golf. And then Saturday, Sunday, they're at Wimbledon. One could say they packed their week so that there was no chance that anybody could cross some paths.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could. I mean, we should stick to facts. And William and Kate had a very busy diary, and therefore there was no time to pop up to Highgrove on Friday.
No time. Do you know where William wasn't? Which I
He did manage to go down to Hastings and back.
He did,
which is further than Highgrove from Windsor, probably.
But again, we deal with facts, not conspiracy.
No, correct.
But the place I would have liked to have seen him this week, where he wasn't, was in Atlanta at the football. So
he was going to go to the final. We knew that. That was pretty nailed on. You think he should have been at the semi-final?
Because I think anybody who's listening to this in the UK, but especially England, the roads in the UK on Wednesday evening were dead. Like everybody was in a pub at home or at their mate's house at like big watch parties.
Or in Scotland, you were supporting Argentina.
I thought
it was a big moment.
All eyes. It was a huge moment for us to be in the semi-finals of the World Cup and watching what is a huge cultural moment in English football history. And it was
everyone's disappointed, but Mexico didn't get there and Brazil didn't get there. We got there, so it was still a really big night.
And it was the biggest World Cup in terms of the number of countries that were taking part. So for them to even get to the semi-finals was a big deal. As president of the FA, I do feel like Prince William should have been there.
Discuss.
So they always said to us, if England get to the final, Prince William will go in his role as president of the FA. Could you then have a situation where he's going to the semi-final and then flying back and then going out to the final? This is somebody that really supports sustainability and the environment.
I mean, America
can't have him flying in and out.
One could argue America's a big enough country where he could find something to do with his time between Wednesday and Sunday.
Yeah.
I just think...
Well, you go for the semi-final and they don't get through, which we didn't, then you would come home.
Then you just change your flight and you just come home. I think I was, when I was half watching the game whilst out for drinks with friends, you obviously the Beckhams were there because they spend a lot of their summers in America, and you saw so many other incredible faces. Mick Jagger, I think I saw him distraught after Argentina's second goal, and I think that would have been, as someone who is a football fan, as Prince William is, he's a big supporter of Aston Villa. I think any football fan worth their weight in gold, if they could afford it, would have wanted to be here.
I mean, I think he would have been absolutely desperate to be there. He watched all the matches. He stayed up through the night for the Mexico game.
So then why wasn't he there?
We had messages on social media after all the games, but they said very clearly, if we get to the final, he will go to that.
Yeah, I just think it's a big miss. I think it would have been really lovely, and you can imagine even on no one wanted to have that in their mind that they could have lost. We genuinely believed that we would make it through to the final. But at that moment where the team is distraught and upset, how incredible would it have been a picture of Prince William in that dressing room with the players just feeling really despondent and upset, and him having a moment where he goes in and goes, guys, we're still really proud of you. As president of the FA, I think he should have been there.
He is often in touch, isn't he? Like, we know he's in touch with lots of Aston Villa players. I think he is with some of the England players as well. Yeah. So I'm sure he was in touch with them.
But the other sport, obviously, that they're really into is Wimbledon. And as I mentioned, Kate was at Wimbledon because she's patron of the Lawn Tennis Association. Now, tennis is her thing. You've watched her play against Emma Raducanu. You know, she is a huge tennis fan.
She's not just a huge tennis fan. She's actually really very good with a tennis racket. I watched her play after Emma Raducanu won the US Open, and they played doubles together, and she was very impressive. Even Raducanu said, you know, she is actually really good.
And the kids were out as well, weren't they?
They were. Prince George and Princess Charlotte joined the Prince and Princess of Wales on Sunday for the men's final. Yeah. Long final, 4 sets to sit through in that heat. So
that's
they
quite
did
a lot
well.
for George, 12-year-old, nearly 13.
But Louis wasn't there.
Louis wasn't there. Louis is 8. You know, I think Louis would have loved to have gone, but they have to think, don't they? It is a very hot day. We're having a very hot summer here in the UK. It's going to be a very long match. Is it appropriate? He's also, the children are on show for a very long time. Yeah. You know, they've got lenses on them a lot. So I think they did sort of balance it out and work out, you know, was it the right moment for him to go?
You know what? If it's anything compared to my youngest, knowing that her older brother was somewhere she would want to be.
I know.
I imagine that did not go down well with Louis.
Well, can you imagine if we had got to the final? Can you imagine the conversation William having to have with the children about whether they could or couldn't come? I mean,
awkward conversation.
Yeah, he was left with like grandpa and granny or something. I want to go to Wimbledon.
Absolutely hit the roof. The archive section this week, actually, as we've been diving in, we wanted to do something a little bit Wimbledon related. Yeah, and so we're showing you pictures now of George VI. Playing at Wimbledon 100 years ago in 1926. Look at that.
Wow.
In the gentlemen's doubles, only member of the royal family to play at Wimbledon. I didn't know this. When the royal family put this up on social media at the weekend, I was like, this is a new fact. I love this.
There's something about the royal family you didn't know. That's
a moment.
So that he was Duke of York at the time, and obviously not destined to be king because obviously his older brother was going to be King Edward VIII and was for not very long. I mean that's pretty impressive to be playing Wimbledon. Yeah. But maybe we should get Kate to do that next year.
What play at Wimbledon? She's done 3 peaks this year. Wimbledon next year.
She could take part in the legends part of Wimbledon.
They did get to meet though. The Wales family did get to meet Arthur Ferry, who the Brit that made it to the semi-finals.
Wasn't it his birthday?
And the Prince of Wales gave him a birthday card, and then he was asking George and Charlotte about playing tennis. The children do play, and then he offered to have a knockabout with them if they wanted.
Aww. I mean, we're all about Arthur Ferry. That man's absolutely incredible. We're going to go back to Harry because, as well as everything else he did last week, he was almost walking in his brother's footsteps where it comes to featuring on podcasts. They love being on a podcast. And this was Joe Marler, We'll See You Now. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I quite liked, I mean, a lot of the stuff he'd said in it was a bit, but what it did show was his humour. He is, I mean, I always knew that Harry's bants was of an elite level, but I think it really showed it in this. Let's take a look.
Full name? Henry Charles Albert David, Duke of Sussex.
It's a long one.
Yeah. All right, Jake.
Okay, how about this one? Occupation.
Full-time dad, British Army veteran, Prince of England, Duke. I'm sure.
The inventor. Would you call yourself the inventor or?
The inventor
of
the Invictus Games?
Yes.
Inventor. Founder?
Founder.
That's
probably the better word.
All right. Okay.
Favourite trashy TV show?
Love Island.
What do people most often get wrong about you?
People think I'm ginger, but I'm more sort of like Sunset, like Auburn.
I mean, there's so many things to pick up on there, isn't there? Like, hold on a minute. Let's ignore the red hair.
Oh, I love that.
That's funny.
Prince of England is his job title. When it's technically the Prince of the United Kingdom, we should be clear here. But actually, do you remember on Archie's birth certificate, they did have to write, like father Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, occupation Prince of the United Kingdom. And Meghan had to do the same thing, like Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, Princess of the United Kingdom. That's what they were told to write on those. And
under the job bit of your birth.
Under the job
What's
bit.
your job, Prince?
So it is actually a job, believe it or not. Sounds a bit weird.
Even then, when you're not a working royal.
Well,
yeah.
True. Yeah.
I would have just said founder and maybe sort of humanitarian because he does a lot of humanitarian
Yeah.
Does
work.
that sound a bit kind of, yeah, I don't know. I'm a humanitarian and philanthropist. Doesn't it not sound a little bit pious?
Well, not sure. But then for him, I'm a full-time dad bit.
That was nice.
That was cute.
Yeah.
He's a full-time dad. I mean, I'm
Yes.
sure there's lots of dads who'd love to be full-time dads, but
But he's not a full-time dad, though, because he does other stuff. So,
oh yeah, that's true.
yeah. So anyway, there was lots to pick apart, wasn't there?
But he's funny when he says, "All right, Jake."
What,
That was
Jake?
funny.
That is like
Yeah.
banter, which we could do with right
We've
now.
both seen the same commercials. He does this
Oh,
bit
that was
playing
quite
in
good, wasn't
commercials to see if Harry can finish off the commercial, and Harry was like,
Like washing machines live longer with ... brand,
you get
insert
them
brand
right?
here. And he got
He did,
them all
yeah,
right,
he
yeah.
did.
So he's an avid television watcher.
Well, what he said was, because they would say, well, you grew up on an estate, and Joe Marler said, well, I grew up in a different kind of estate, by which he meant sort of a social housing estate. And Harry said, we didn't have different TVs.
Yeah.
We had the same television channels.
Do you know what? I, in my head, if you grew up in the royal family, like TV is almost banned, and you have to do other stuff like learn the piano, play tennis, play charades or croquet, chess.
and he's watching Love Island.
And he's watching Love Island.
Yeah, it's good to know, isn't it?
I
wonder
it
what
was
episode-
nice
is he
to
watching
see.
this year's Love Island, or did he watch the previous episode?
Well,
I
do you
wonder.
see that he was very clever? He said, I have watched Love
Yeah.
Island. Because if he said, I watch Love Island, they would have thrown questions at him.
Yeah, that's true.
And they didn't actually clarify whether it meant Love Island USA or British Love
Oh, this
Island.
is true.
Oh, yeah.
I say the same thing, actually. Love Island is in my house. So I can say I have watched
Love Island.
episodes of Love Island, but I don't watch Love Island.
Just to clarify, you have young people that live in your house, your children.
Yes, they're not.
Yeah.
Basically, it wouldn't be my choice of television, but it does happen to be on. So therefore, every so often I get to know who's bad and who's good and who's everyone hates.
After a difficult week, though, it was nice to see a sort of more relaxed
fun.
side of him. However, they didn't. They sort of skimmed over all the controversy of the last week.
They didn't say, where's Meghan? Why hasn't she turned up? What's your security like?
How do you feel about not staying at Buckingham
Yeah.
Palace?
Yeah, he
I'm
just
gonna
wanted to
see
have
it
a bit
there.
of
How did you feel about the court case? None of that. No. We,
do you know what he also did? Goat yoga.
yeah.
Is that a thing?
I wasn't really aware it was.
This is goat yoga. Let's
So-
wear this. Watch careful.
Ooh.
I mean, crown jewels at risk. At this point.
Why was he
So-
doing that?
So if anyone's listening to this podcast and didn't see that, so that's Harry laying on the floor with goats climbing over the middle part of his body.
And them's be the crown jewel.
Them's be the crown jewels. He was doing it because he was at an event on Saturday. This is the day after he met his dad.
Yeah.
The Scottish Little Soldiers. These are people who have lost a father or mother because they've been in the military. And it's a wonderful charity that Harry keeps in touch with a lot. So he was at their kind of festival day, fun day.
Yeah, and he was talking to them, lots of the children, about how, they deal with grief, how he's dealt with grief. But it is one of the charities in the UK that he has continued to support since he stepped back as a working member of the family. So Well Child and Victor Scotties, they were all the ones that he was sort of publicly
Is goat
seeing
yoga a thing?
last week.
Cat yoga is, I think.
And I think puppy
something
yoga,
about
isn't it?
yoga.
Is there an aura with goats that make you feel more relaxed? Is that
Like
the
if
thing?
that is your homework for this week.
Or we could get a few goats in for next week and see how...
All our directs who would love that. Hattie, our producer, would be like, bring all the goats.
Yeah.
So we've done the cocktail
Hattie we're getting
tasting. Now we
goats.
want to do goat yoga in the studio.
Next week's episode, a goat yoga.
Three of us on the floor.
On the floor.
With the goats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris holding on to his crown jewels.
That's too far.
We've got Meghan has some good news. She's been nominated for an Emmy. She is an Emmy nominee. Why?
Well, with Love Meghan, her lifestyle and food show has been nominated for an Emmy. Talking of shows, actually, I'm going to segue into here. Her MasterChef Australia appearance is out this weekend.
Oh, so does that mean we're talking about it next week?
Yeah.
Nice.
Do we have to watch it?
That's generally the idea. We tend to watch things and then tell the audience about what our thoughts are.
So Australian MasterChef, I need to put that on my list of things to watch this weekend, along with Love Island, which is on in the house. I'll have to have my
so much for you to watch this week, Chris. So much. I was really surprised to see this week. Was I more surprised that it's not happened before or that it happened in the first place? I'm not sure, actually. But Republic, which are
yes, yeah.
a group that want us to no longer have a monarchy. They managed to get into Buckingham Palace by buying tickets, which you can as members of the public, and they unfurled a banner in Buckingham Palace with what has been their slogan the past few months. What did you know?
Yeah.
How did that go down with the palace? How did they manage to do it in the first place?
I thought there was remarkably little publicity about this because we've kind of got used to Republic, opening up their big yellow banners, and the latest one, along with, ditch the duchies and down with the crown and not my king. The new one they've got is what did you know?
Yeah.
Question mark. In other words, what did you know about Prince Andrew and his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein? The fact that they got inside the palace, as you say, members of the public can buy tickets, but then got the banner out and that photo of Prince Andrew in Central Park in New York with Jeffrey Epstein, and then got some photos. I mean, I thought that was, it's kind of Greenpeace-esque in its stunt. When your Greenpeace used to hijack ships or make a point or climb up towers, kind of felt like a bit like that to me. And another step up in their campaign.
But Lizzie, just to confirm to anybody who's not done a tour of Buckingham Palace before, you do get searched when you go into Buckingham Palace.
And
so
you don't just...
if they'd had a weapon of some sort, that would have been definitely found.
Absolutely.
But it's a banner. It's,
and as you go around, you don't just wander wherever you fancy it. You do follow a route, and there are wardens around the route. So I'm surprised no one sort of saw them unfurling this. And
we don't know how long they had the banner out for, but long
Yeah.
enough to take a few pictures of it in front of the the thrones in the throne room. So.
Well, Republic and their stunts no doubt will just continue.
Yeah, but I'd say it was an augmentation in their
Yes.
stuntism.
Yeah.
Yes.
But probably the wrong time to do it, in terms of there was a lot of other things happening in the past week.
It was a busy
including
week of
World
news.
Cup fever and other bits. So that's probably the reason why it didn't necessarily got the attention that they thought it was going to.
But we thought it was worth noting on this podcast.
Finally, then, I'm going to return to the World Cup. Clearly, I'm still obsessed and dealing with my own grief regarding us not being in the final. But the King has been trying to make people feel better by pulling pints in Dorset. Here he is.
Maybe it's a good day to drown a few sorrows.
So for anyone that doesn't hear the exact words, he says, maybe it's a good day to drown a few sorrows, which I think we probably did a lot of last night.
Yeah.
But why was it there?
Well, I think the King's not a massive football fan, but he's also, aware enough to know that there's a lot of people in one nation of the United Kingdom. We should be clear it was England, not Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. This meant a lot to them, and therefore I think that was quite a well-timed. He's quite good with his jokes. He does well-timed jokes, as we know from that America
where Harry
speech.
gets his banter from.
And, we go back to the America speech where it's perfectly timed and the jokes were well delivered, and that was another example. Anyway, to answer your question, it was a brewery in Dorset, a place called Blandford Forum, that was celebrating its 250th anniversary.
We're almost winding down to summer with the Royals, aren't we? So does that mean, next week there's not really that much going on?
The Wales family are now on school holidays, so
and they don't have to go. William doesn't have to go to New York on Sunday.
He doesn't. No. So, and we know that the Wales family, when the children are off, they take some time away from public engagements and focus on spending time with the children. We still have a few engagements with the King and Queen next week before they go off on their summer break, including one very important engagement.
Very big one. Yes, on Thursday.
Ooh.
Opening of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. One of our producers on the show, Lauren, says the Commonwealth Games is huge, and she's trying to get tickets for it, and perhaps we can get her in to open it next to the King and
So
Queen.
you're going to be in Glasgow next week then for the Open?
No, I'll be here with you.
Oh, you chose me over Glasgow. Thanks.
Well, for now, a week's a long time.
I might change the plans.
We might change the plan.
Well, actually, there's one big event next week, is that we're having a change of Prime Minister, which means the King is on his fourth Prime Minister in an under 4-year reign.
Yes.
Liz Truss, when he took over, Rishi Sunak, Keir Starmer, and from Monday, Andy Burnham. So King's on Prime Minister number 4 already, and he's got to do his constitutional duty of saying goodbye to Keir. Thanks very much for what you've done. See you later. He goes out the back door, and then in comes Andy Burnham.
Whilst in his head going, we're doing this again?
So when you said, is there anything big going on next week? I think the answer to that is yes, lots.
But that's it for now. They may be here, they may not be here, but I will definitely be here next week. Don't forget to subscribe to the Talking Royals YouTube channel, which is on your screen now, so you never miss an episode. Bye-bye.